Hello there all my lovely jewelry makers, I'm Christina at CSLdesigns, and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this celestial Kumihimo bracelet. Now this is part of a collection of jewelry so you can make matching necklaces and earrings, and all the tutorials will be in one playlist and it will be linked in the description box down below. And all the pieces will also be available for sale in my shop, so again the link will be down below, and while you're there you can sign up to my newsletter. Otherwise, if you want to learn how to make your own, then keep watching. These are the materials that we'll need. Now first of all we need our round Kumihimo disc. I'm just using the mini one, but you can also use the regular sized one. And we need two different kinds of cord for the braid. The first one here is a 1mm satin cord. I'm just using this lovely rich purple colour. And the second one is an S-lon cord, and I'm just matching this colour to the satin cord. And we then need our beads. Now first of all I'm using these SuperDuos. These are going to get incorporated into the braid while we're making it. And secondly we also need 11 Omiyuki seed beads. The ones that I'm using are galvanized blush, but of course you can mix and match your colours however you want to. Now to attach the seed beads I'm using this S-lon beading thread along with a beading needle. We then need our findings to finish off the ends of the braid with, so I'm using a lobster claw clasp, an extender chain and some drop rings to put it together, and they're going to be attached to these Kumihimo ends which have little loops in them, which will be added onto the ends of the braid using this E6000 glue. So you'll be able to find the material list and useful links in the description box down below. And if you're new to Kumihimo, I sell a Kumihimo starter kit in my shop which is perfect for beginners. Again, there'll also be a link to that down below. Otherwise, let's get all the materials ready and let's get started. So first of all we need to cut some lengths of our cord, and I have 8 lengths in total here of about 45 centimeters each. So I have 4 lengths of the satin cord and then 4 lengths of the S-lon cord. What I've done is put all the ends together and then just tied a regular overhand knot just to hold the cords together here. And we then need to attach these cords to our Kumihimo disc. So I'm going to take that knot, put it down through the hole in the center, and then just grab onto it with my fingers there on the back. Now we then need to distribute the cords. So what I'm going to do is first of all start with the satin cords. I'm going to take one and put it in the top slot there, so number 1. And then I'm going to place one in the directly opposite slot, so the bottom one there, which is number 17. And then one straight out to the right. So that's number 9, and then the remaining satin cord straight out to the left, which is in number 25. So basically they're coming straight across from each other in a cross like this. Now we need to do the same with the S-lon cords, but just in between the satin cords. So I'm going to take the first one, that's going to go right in between these two satin cords, and then you just want to distribute the rest of them in the same way. So again they end up kind of forming a cross straight across from each other, but directly in between the satin cords, so they're all evenly separated out on the disc like this. We then need to start the braid. So first I'm going to be doing a section of braid without adding beads in, and the way we're going to do it is I'm going to start with the top slot, so the cord in slot number 1, which is the satin cord, release that, bring it down straight opposite, and before placing it into a slot I need to release that bottom one and then place the top one into that slot which is freed up. Then that bottom one comes up and goes into the top slot where the cord originally was on the top there. Then I'm going to turn my disc in the clockwise direction and get to the very next pair of satin cords. Same principle, the top one, release that, bring it down, and then release the bottom one, place the top one into that, and then bring that bottom one up to the top. So basically the cords swap places with each other. Now we're going to turn the disc again in the same direction, but only so we reach the very next S-lon cord pair. So that's right next to the satin cords there, but otherwise release the top one, bring that down, release the bottom one, and then put that top one into that same slot. And then the bottom one goes to the top. Now turn the disc for the next S-lon cord pair, release the top one, bring it down, replace it with the other one, and bring the bottom one up. And then just turn the disc all the way in the same direction so we get back up to the number 1 being at the top. So this was basically one full round of the braid, and we're just going to continue like this. So again, the top one comes down, replaces the bottom one, and the bottom one then goes up, starting with the satin cords there. Then turn it a quarter, and I keep turning it in the same direction. The top one comes down, replaces the bottom one, and the bottom one goes up. So again we're swapping places, and then we just turn the disc a little bit to reach the very next S-lon cord pair. Top one down and the bottom one up, and the final S-lon cord pair, same thing. Top one down and the bottom one up, and then we just want to turn the disc until we get back to number 1 there straight on the top. So just do this until we have a couple of centimeters of braid. So now we have that little section of braid, it's starting to come out of the back there. Then we need to start adding in our beads. Now also the whole time while I'm braiding I'm holding onto the braid at the back here and just helping it come through, so gently pulling on it as I'm braiding. But to start adding in the beads I'm going to first of all start a new round. So again just starting with that top slot number 1, bring that down. The bottom one goes up, so they're swapping places. and then go to the other satin cord pair. Top one goes down and the bottom one goes up, and then go to the next pair, which is an S-lon cord pair, and this is where I want to add in my beads. So I'm going to release the top one, get to the very end of the cord, then I want to grab a SuperDuo and then just put this length of cord through one of the holes, let it drop all the way down so the bead goes into the hole in the middle of the disc there. And then as I'm bringing this cord down, making sure the bead is tucked all the way down, I put my thumb on it so it stays down there while I then release the bottom cord and place that top one into that slot. And then we also need to add a bead to the bottom cord in the same way. So grab a SuperDuo, put the cord through one of the holes and let it drop all the way into the middle of the disc. Put your thumb on top of the bead and then bring the cord up to the top. So we have 2 beads now down there in the middle. Now to lock them more in place, turn your disc to the next S-lon cord pair, grab the top one, bring that down, place it in the slot and bring the bottom one up, making sure the beads stay underneath there, and now they're locked into place as well. Then that's that round done. Turn your disc to get back to the top and start a new round. Now here I'm not going to add a bead in. I'm only going to add beads in on every other round. So I'm doing this round here, just continue all the way around like I've showed you before, but I'm not adding beads in to these ones now. Just move the cords in the same way all the way around until we then get back to the top. So this was one full round without adding beads in. Now I've done that, I now need to start a new round, and this time I'm again adding beads in. So the top one comes down, always starting with those satin cords in a new round. Do the second pair of satin cords and now move into the first pair of S-lon cords, and it's always these 2 here after the last satin cord pair that I then want to add my beads to. So release it and get right to the end. Add your cord through one of the holes in the bead and let it drop all the way down into the hole in the middle of the disc. Make sure to tuck it in and then put your thumb over it while bringing the cord down. Release that bottom one and also add a bead to that. Drop it down into the middle, put your thumb over it while bringing the cord up, and then lock them into place by moving the next S-lon cord pair, and then that's another complete round. And then just like I said, now we need to do a round without adding beads in, so just start that and do it in the same way. And we're always, when we add beads in, we're always doing it on those same cords, because that way we end up with the beads running down both sides of the braid completely opposite each other. So just continue like this until you have the length that you need. So now I've added all the beads that I need. You can see the braids coming out here at the back. Then we just need to do another short length of braid here without adding beads in, just like we did in the beginning. So you literally just want to start a new round, do another couple centimeters of the braid, and we can then remove it from the disc. And again, I've just tied a regular overhand knot on this end just to make sure the braid doesn't come undone. Now what I've ended up with is 19 SuperDuos on each side of the braid, so that is 38 in total, but obviously you can make it longer or shorter depending what you need. So this is where we need to get our thread ready. So I'm just going to take a length, whatever you're comfortable working with, but I usually like to work with about a wingspan or 2, and it's not too big of a deal because if you run out of thread during your project, you can always just add a new thread. Just cut that off. And then we just need to add a needle to one end of it. And I just like to pull a long length through so we have a tail. We can always loosen it as we go, as we need more thread. It just makes it shorter to work with. And then all the way on the other end, I'm just going to then tie a surgeon's knot here. So go through the loop a few times. And this is going to act as a stopper, so the thread doesn't just pull straight through the braid. So we are now ready to bring the braid back in. And first of all, I just want to attach my thread to the braid. So I'm just going to start on one end, just go a little bit away from the beads, go from one side of the braid to the other, push your needle through, and then just pull the thread all the way through until we get to that knot that we created. And you can see it then stops there. Now what I just want to do is go back and forth through the braid here a few times just to kind of fasten it in place. And then you just want to start making your way down towards the beads there. So back and forth a few more times, but getting closer to the beads until we're then coming out right next to one of the beads here, but on the outside of it. And then this is the point where we need to start adding in some beads. So I'm just going to pour a few out so they're ready for me to use. And then what we need to do is make our way to the outer hole of the SuperDuos. So I'm just going to add 3 of my seed beads here first of all, and from this point in the braid where I'm coming out right next to that SuperDuo, I'm going to go straight through the outer hole and towards the other beads, so that when I pull this tight, the beads are going to end up sitting up the side of the SuperDuo like that. Now what we're going to do is basically go from SuperDuo to SuperDuo, connecting them all the way along on this side. So I'm just changing position, and then I'm going to add 5 seed beads now. I'm going to go straight to the next SuperDuo in the outer hole. So basically almost creating little bridges between them. Pull that tight, and then it slots perfectly in between those SuperDuos and kind of connects them like that. And we literally want to keep doing that all the way along now. So I've added another 5 seed beads to my needle. Go through the next SuperDuo in the same direction here. Pull that tight. You can see we connect again. And you just want to do this all the way up this side of the braid until we get to the other end. And once we then get to the other end here, we add another 3 beads and then go down the side of the SuperDuo. Go straight through the braid and come out the other side of the braid there, but right next to the opposite SuperDuo, and pull this all the way through so we get the bead sitting along the side of that SuperDuo, and then also pull it a bit tight there so we make sure we don't have too much thread showing all the way along. Now here is just the same thing. Add another 3 beads and then go through the outer hole in that SuperDuo so we can get the beads up the side of that one, just like that. Then I'm just going to change position again, and then all we want to do now is the exact same thing that we just did. So I'm adding 5 beads to my needle, going from this first SuperDuo through the outer hole in the next one, and then we just want to work our way all the way up this side as well, doing the exact same thing until we get to the other end as well. Then on the other end here, we just got to do the same thing again, of course. So add another 3 beads to your needle, go down the side of the SuperDuo, through the braid to the other side, and then I make sure to also catch the beads there I've already added. That's going up the side of that SuperDuo. I'll go through them, so I'll come out at the very top of them, and then pull that nice and tight. And then what I just like to do is make sure that I pull the thread tight here. So if any loose thread is showing all the way along, should hopefully tighten that up so we don't have any gaps showing between the SuperDuos and the beads there. Then what we want to do now is start the embellishments on the tops of the SuperDuos. So to do that, I'm going to add 3 beads to my needle. Then we're coming out of the very last bead here, right next to that SuperDuo. What I'm going to do is skip the SuperDuo, go over the top of it and come through the next seed bead that's right next to it, and then go through all the seed beads in that section here. Make sure I come out just before the next SuperDuo, and then as I pull that tight, it's going to kind of create a little flourish or bridge right on top of the SuperDuo there. And that is basically what we're going to keep doing. So pick up another 3 beads. We're coming out right next to this SuperDuo, skip the SuperDuo, and then go through the seed beads on the other side of it. Make sure to come through all the ones in this section. Come out just before the next SuperDuo. And then again, you can see we just create a little flourish there on top of that SuperDuo, so it adds a nice design to it. Now you just want to do this all the way down this side. You get to the other end here, also do it on the very last SuperDuo. Go through the seed beads down the side of the SuperDuo, through the braid, through the seed beads on the other side there, and you just get to the other side of the braid and then repeat the exact same thing all the way along until we've done it all the way around. So now that I worked my way all the way around, I got to the very last one. Again, I picked up 3 seed beads. I'm going to go through the seed beads down the side of the SuperDuo and then straight through the braid to the other side. Make sure I come through the seed beads on the side of that SuperDuo as well. Pull it all the way through. So we finish it off like that. And then we basically have the main part finished now. Now all that's left to do is go around and reinforce the beads that we've just added. So that's why I went through these seed beads on the side of the SuperDuo on the other side. So it's literally just following the path that we've already done. So I'm going through only the seed beads, not the SuperDuos. So just take a few beads at a time here. So through the seed beads that we added on top of the SuperDuos, and then also straight down to the seed beads connecting the SuperDuos. And I'm literally doing that all the way around. Now you can do it however many times you want to. Doing it a couple of times will just reinforce it more. So that's completely up to you. So now I'm done reinforcing it here. Then I just want to obviously go through the last few beads, and then I'm coming through the braid again, but I'm not going to go through the beads on the other side there. I just want to go through the braid itself and then come out with the needle on the other side, because basically all that's left to do now is finish off the thread. And to do that, I just want to go back and forth through the braid again a couple of times to just secure the thread in place a bit. And as I'm doing this, I'm going to go through again here to the other side, but this time I'm not going to pull it all the way tight. I want to make sure I just leave a bit of a loop there. Now I'm going to come back through again and make sure my needle comes out close to that loop. And then before pulling on the thread, I'm going to go through the loop with my needle, and I want to just go through a couple of times so we create a bit of a surgeon's knot. And then I'm pulling the thread through the loop there, and now I can pull this thread tight, which will then tighten up that knot. So we basically create it a knot, and then I'm going to go back and forth through again, and I want to do just a couple of knots in this same way. Once you then tied your last knot, you want to make sure to go back and forth through the braid again a couple of times so we don't cut off the thread right where you've made the knot, because it'll be more likely to come undone. But then I'm just going to take my scissors, cut off the excess, and then we've gotten rid of our thread. Then all that's left to deal with is the ends of the braids here. And for that, I'm just going to bring in my E6000 glue, and I just want to add a bit onto a toothpick. And then I want to put that onto the braid all the way around, just a little bit above where the beads are. And I'm doing this just so that when this is dry, we can cut through the glue, and it's going to make sure the braid doesn't unravel. So just make sure to cover all the way around, and of course repeat on the other end as well. And then just leave that to dry. Once the glue is dried, then we can go in and cut off the excess. So I cut through the glue here. You want to make make sure you have glue left on both sides because that's what holds the braid together. So just cut off that excess end, and then we just need to add the Kumihimo end onto this here. So to do that as well, I'm going to bring back my glue and again add a bit onto the toothpick, and then I want to put the glue inside of this Kumihimo end. Now we don't need to fill it completely, just make sure you get some glue in there on the inside walls, and then we just want to add this to the end of the braid and make sure to push it on, and any excess glue will come spilling out there, but you can just kind of wipe that away while it's still wet. You just want to leave this to dry. Of course, repeat the same on the other end, and then you have these loops where you can attach your findings, and then your bracelet's finished and ready to wear. Now don't forget to check out the playlist where all the tutorials for this collection will be available. Otherwise, I really hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you so much for watching it, and I'll see you in the next one.